This is Let's Talk Business with your hosts, Marc Ebinger and Heather Boehme. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business, a show that talks entrepreneurship with some of the best businesses in the San Antonio area. If you're an entrepreneur looking for business inspiration and insight, be sure to follow us on all major podcast platforms, our YouTube channel, and social media. With us in studio, of course, is Heather Boehme, a certified business coach who partners with entrepreneurs to gain clarity and accomplish their goals. Heather, welcome to the show.
Always glad to be here. I'm excited about the lineup today.
Yeah, me too. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Kyle Lancaster, a real estate agent and short-term rental advisor who works with My Market Boss Realty. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Kyle, everybody wants to know how tall you are. How tall are you?
6'4", 6'6", with a pair of boots on.
Yeah, I know. You're not allowed to wear boots anymore when you come.
Spit that out immediately. That obviously comes up often.
It does.
We got a 12-foot or at least a 12-foot ceiling out there, and he stood up, and I'm like, okay, watch your head. But anyway. All right, we're also going to talk with Jerrod Smith, CEO of AN Global San Antonio, a veteran-owned and operated company that helps entrepreneurs sell businesses. Jerrod, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. You guys do more than help people just sell businesses, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are busy out there. We'll have to dig into that a little bit.
Thanks.
A quick reminder for our listeners, you can catch video and podcast versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. And if you're a business owner in the San Antonio area and would like to have your company featured on the show, visit our website at satalkradio.com or call our office at 210-960-8210. That's 210-960-8210. And of course, if you want to sell your business, you can call Jerrod. But
yeah, he's like, yes, tell him that.
Awesome. So I know you're going to be excited to talk with Jerrod because you guys have had a sit-down talk already, right? Kind of got acquainted, lots of businesses. But what's this deal with the cows you all were talking about?
Well, Jerrod has two kids who show cows in the 4-H, or is it for their high school? FFA. Yeah. And I grew up showing cows in 4-H. And you really don't know until you know with cows, but it's a big pain in the butt.
It's really? A process. It's like a year.
I don't want my children to do it.
It's a year long.
Well, they seem pretty easy to me.
No. Well, so you're taking a creature that's, naturally skittish of everything, right? And then you got to try to tame them. They got to walk them. You
got to blow dry them.
Yep. What?
Yeah.
Well, those are for the fancy cows.
No.
This is showing cows.
This is showing cows.
But they all go to the meat, marketplace eventually.
But you want them to be
but
fluffy.
that's what they're there for. But the kids make some money off of it, so it's good for them. It goes to their college fund, but it does get expensive to start with because these cows can go 5, 6, even $10,000 just to start with, and then. These cows go to San Antonio, rodeo, Houston, Fort Worth. I think Fort Worth had a cow that went for $300,000.
What?
Yeah, that sold.
It ends up just being steaks, right? Or was that a stud? Yeah. Was it a?
It was a Grand Champion, but I don't know. I don't know exactly which breed it was.
Depending on if it was if it was a steer, yeah. I mean, you can't really do anything with it.
It was a steer. Yeah, steer means they don't have their cojones.
They don't?
No, they can't even breed them.
They take them out, and that's because the process is to be a meat. You take the cojones, so that they don't.
The testosterone makes your meat taste bad.
Yeah, it makes it taste rougher.
I don't know if I'd like the way this whole thing is going.
That's the last thing I thought I would learn today. But
no kidding, right?
Check that box.
But so just so I understand, somebody spends $300,000 on an animal, on a cow, whatever it is, a steer, I don't know if the terminology here, but just to make hamburger meat out of it or to make steaks?
It goes to the kids.
Yeah.
It's these kids that put on,
okay.
They work hard, to be honest. I mean, so my kids have gotten their cows the beginning of April, essentially. So they're working every day, feeding them, walking them, and they'll do that all the way up until, February timeframe when the rodeo happens, and so.
And they know what's going to happen to the cow, right?
They absolutely do.
You don't lie to them, do you?
No, absolutely not. I thought so. My wife or my daughter is a big emotional person, so I thought she would be really hard to deal with because of that. And she was ready to all right, bye. She was ready to be done. But then like a week after she got rid of it, she was like, all right, I want another one. I miss them.
She's an entrepreneur.
So
this is good money. I like this.
Teaches them early. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good responsibility. That's
you take them through like McDonald's and say, okay, this is where they end up.
Yeah. That's why I take them to HEB, and I say, okay, this is what, the butt of them, this is the ribs.
Not of your cow, but of somebody's cow.
It's their cow.
It is your cow. Yes.
Wow. This is probably your cow right here.
So that's how I know you were in the Army, man. You mess with your kids just like you're in the Army.
Of course. Teach them the facts of life. So the lesson here is if your kids are looking at doing 4-H or FFA and they're trying to pick their animal, steer them toward rabbits or chickens.
Yeah. Or pigs. Pigs are not bad.
Pigs are easy.
My daughter started with a pig her first time, and they started basically in August, September, so you don't have as long.
Wait a minute now. Shouldn't you be telling them to start where the money is?
Money,
they can still make good money from those,
You got to spend money to make money in cows.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a high investment. You got to feed a 2,000-pound animal to get as fat as possible. So if you've got your upfront cost saved, yes, you can make more on a cow.
There you go.
If you're working your way up, you start with the cheapest possible chickens. You sell it, you make that chicken money, and then you can move up. Because what is a starter calf, like 500?
So no, my daughter started with hers at 1,600.
And you can tell I went to high school a lot longer.
It was 1,600, and so I think we averaged about 1,000 on feed total, $1,000 on feed, maybe a little more
for the whole thing.
And then she made probably about 5,000 total.
That was her profit?
That was our total.
Okay.
So you minus about 2,500.
Well, how many man hours or kid hours went into that?
So to be honest, I don't think there was as many kid hours this last time because it was her first year with a cow, and I don't know how to raise cows, so it was
2x.
It was a learning process for all of us. So
does she get to keep the money?
She did, but she turned it into. She bought a more expensive cow this time.
So how much did she spend this time?
$2,500.
Okay.
So she got a little bit more of a fancy cow, and so hopefully she's hoping.
Still the $1,000 in feed, though, right? It's going to be the same cost there?
Yeah, if not a little bit more.
Wow. Well, that's kind of interesting to me. I love entrepreneurship.
It's great for the process of learning, I think. I mean, ultimately, it's your parental decision which type of animal you get them. I personally, I just don't want to blow dry cow ever again.
We kind of left it up to them and I let her decide. She first started with a pig. And she liked the pig because she could be lazy, and then she just decided to go with the cow, and so.
All right. Well, we have to get off this.
Yeah,
we
went on a trend. We'd be talking about cows.
Holy smokes, right? All right, Kyle Lancaster. First up on the show is Kyle Lancaster, a real estate agent and short-term rental advisor who works with My Market Boss Realty. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So, how'd you get involved with real estate?
It was always a household topic growing up. I saw my parents go in and out of certain investments, rental property here, maybe a flip there. They did okay. I mean, there wasn't any. There was deals that you do well on. There's deals that you don't. But it was always, in your mind. And maybe if it wasn't a conversation at every dinner table, it was definitely something that was going on in the background just about all the time.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah, it sounds like you had that unique, because I did not have that conversation growing up. I was like, I'm going to be an employee. So this is all new, right, when I got into entrepreneurship. So how did you take that perspective and bring it into your real estate career?
So I had always knew I wanted something to do with real estate. It wasn't always, there was, I could look at my full timeline and there's bits and pieces of entrepreneurship here and there. Originally, Mark and I talked about this. I really wanted to go into law enforcement. I wanted to be some sort of investigative, law enforcement officer. I thought that'd be a lot of fun. I get into community college and it is just like high school. I don't like high school. I don't like this. And so I didn't last. And I had met with a real estate agent that I knew, a family friend at the time. He said, you have nothing to lose. I think you can talk to people. You will go show houses and you have a good time. And so that's kind of how that started. But yeah, bringing it in, having, the mindset of every successful person I either knew personally or had heard of had their hand in real estate one way or another. And so I needed to end up there eventually. Why not start there?
So how do you make money in real estate? I mean, how do you really make money in real estate?
So my, 9 to 5, if you will, my daily job is I represent people when they want to buy or sell a home. Mm-hmm. And, it seems simple, and it's not a hard job. There's harder days than others, but we work with a lot of people who are relocating to the San Antonio market. They've never lived here before. They've never been here before, but they know everything that's going on in San Antonio, so they want to check it out. So it's commission based. There's no base salary, but yeah, it's a representation job.
Right, but marketing and networking, I mean, that's how you really make money, right?
It is. And I was blessed tremendously. You had Greg Foster on your show. That's my team lead. He's the team lead, if you will, for Market Boss Real Estate. And there's about 3 agents, so we're a smaller team. But all the marketing is through social media and YouTube. And so, think of a family who lives in California. They've been in California for 15 years. Job transfer to San Antonio. Best neighborhoods, you're on YouTube or you're on Google, best neighborhoods in San Antonio. It will pop up.
Yep.
And so you'll see.
That's how I found them.
Exactly. You'll see, 10-minute videos, certain neighborhoods, price points, areas, things like that. And it's value based. You provide value and people call us.
So and I built my first business in real estate. So one of the things that I think people don't really realize about real estate is how just, people buy a house once every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, 7 years is average.
So you make that commission is done. Is that why you've got the short-term rental management to make that more regular? Yeah,
good question. That's something that, again, I knew that I would want to be in some sort of, essentially it's an asset management role. Owning real estate, managing your assets, managing rentals, managing whatever it looks like. Real estate is so large, you could diversify your portfolio and still stay within real estate. But I knew that if I had started in a sales job, that I would get there that much faster, and I would gain a much larger understanding and experience of what it means to manage an asset like that if I help other people do so. And so, it's something that's probably, short-term rental asset management, to answer your question, or helping other people manage or launch or just owning short-term rentals for myself is much more of a bigger, 10, 15 year, 20 year shot of, rather than just I'm selling real estate right now.
So you have one of these yourself, these short-term rentals.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about that.
So last year I had bought my first. That is in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It's in Townsend, Tennessee, is the town, and that's considered the peaceful side of the Smokies. And so that is a 3-bed, 2-bath cabin on a little less than an acre, and it was set up for a family's. It was their vacation home. I think they had aspirations to maybe rent it out. I don't think they really ever did. So it was perfect to walk in, buy it completely furnished, do a couple things, and then put it on the short-term rental markets. And
how much are we talking?
That was to stay or the purchase?
To buy it.
To buy it, that was a $540,000 purchase.
Okay.
And for that area, that's really on the lower end. But yeah.
Did you put money into it to kind of spruce it up?
It didn't need a lot. I added a hot tub. That's big in the Smoky Mountains. People like to stay in their hot tubs on cold nights, rainy nights. You add a hot tub, you got to add support for the deck, but really it was furnished. There was linens. I bought extra linens. You buy extras of the things that they don't have because they weren't running a business, but furniture, everything like that was there. TVs, Roku TVs is what we put in our properties. So that's, a little bit, but it wasn't as much startup as one might think.
So you make money on the rentals.
Yes.
Okay. You also make money in asset appreciation.
Yes.
And you make money from the tax deductions.
Yes.
Is that it?
Appreciation. Yeah. I mean, those are your 3 main. I mean, it's, buying that one property wiped out my taxes last year. I didn't pay any income taxes. And in a state like Tennessee, your property compared to Texas, your property taxes were so minimal. My property taxes in Tennessee were like a fraction of what they would be here if I had bought the same asset. But appreciation and cash flow. Yeah. Those are going to be your main ones.
One thing I find interesting is it's your first investment property, and a lot of people, they want to buy investment properties close to home. They want to be able to drive by it. They want to be able to put their eyeballs on it. What made you decide on Tennessee and then gave you the courage to go forward and actually do it?
Absolutely. So I had assisted, if you will, my parents. They had bought 3 prior to me in Tennessee. They did the same thing, operating it, managing it remotely. I was familiar with the concept, and I knew even if I had bought one in San Antonio, if there's a problem there, I don't want to go there. I don't want to drive. I don't want to fix this leaky sink. That's not it's much more of a role of, think of, you're running almost a 1-unit hotel. If the hotel manager gets a call that unit XYZ is having an issue, the hotel manager owner isn't going to go to that unit. And so it was like, if I can do it, if it can be 30 minutes away from me, but I never see it, then it can be, a day away from me, a day and a half drive. But yeah, so that's kind of the mindset you have with management.
What I love about this is it's basically forced leverage accountability, because the temptation to jump out when something is 5 to 30 minutes away from you and just do it yourself because you're going to save $100 versus hiring a handyman is so high, but you've taken that completely off the table because you can't jump out to Tennessee.
No, there would be much more expensive to take a flight to Tennessee to go fix
So what
something.
are those components that you need? What connections, what leverage are you using in order to run this thing remotely?
Great question. Because and that's you're talking about now your team. And if you think of it as like I'm putting together a team, you only need a few components. You need a cleaner. You need someone that every single time someone is going to check out of that property, you have a cleaner the same day that's going to turn it over. And it needs to be quick. There's usually, I have about a 4 or 5 hour window from the time my morning guest checks out to my evening guest checks in. And so it's got to be clean. It's got to be efficient. They have to be reliable. Handyman is your second biggest one. Something goes wrong, hey, this needs to be tightened. Typically, there's not too many. I have not experienced too many issues where I need a handyman there this second while the guests are there. It's usually, hey, we just want to let you know, this faucet is loose, or this faucet is dripping, or this door is not closing. Something simple like that. They can go there afterwards, and it doesn't impact the guests. It doesn't impact their stay. It doesn't impact the quality of their time there. So it's you're a cleaner, and then of course you'll have like an electrician, a plumber on call, but you're going to use them a lot less frequently. They're for bigger projects, emergencies if they do happen. But your cleaner and handyman are the people you need. Some people will opt in to hire a property manager. I don't believe you need to. For some people, it is the best option for them to have a property manager. So if that's the case, then they would have a manager as well. But the manager would take care of the team.
Okay. So what about the marketing side of it? I mean, Airbnb, is that it?
Airbnb, yeah. So you've got a couple channels that you'll source out to. Airbnb, VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner. That's a popular one. Booking.com. That's where I see most of my business, and really Airbnb and Booking.com. And of that, Booking.com is maybe like 10%. So Airbnb and VRBO typically hold the most business for anybody. The problem with that is you put all your eggs in one basket, and that basket's not yours. And so when you do that, you don't own the leads, you don't own the guests, you don't own their contact. And so what we see a lot of hosts now do is implement some sort of direct booking platform, and a lot of these property manager softwares allow you to do that. So you just put up a flyer on the fridge in your property. Hey, next time you come back, scan this, book direct, save 20% on your stay, that kind of thing.
Well, see, I think that's huge for being able to scale so you can control your leads, you get repeat customers, but also, we've all heard Airbnb horror stories with scammers and everybody else. So giving consumers a reliable place to come and use those Airbnb-esque resources that you can then control and market and put out there is humongous.
Yeah. And Mark had mentioned that the possibility of Airbnb just deplatforming a guest, or a host, I should say, for whatever reason they might choose. Maybe there was a bad experience, something happened. You can no longer rent your properties on this platform. And so for somebody,
maybe you voted for the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Who knows? Yeah. You think of Facebook and Twitter, you see that, but then Airbnb, if your eggs are just in that basket, that'll bankrupt your business.
Well, I love the mindset that, like you've said, you've come into it with, because you're not saying I own an Airbnb property.
Sure.
You have said I'm a hotel manager.
Yes.
So you're creating hotels for people, which is basically what a rental is.
Yes.
And that's a scalable mindset versus something that's controlled by an outside company that is not doing the best job out there right now, as we can all,
I'd love to get into more of this because there's so much more to talk about. So I know one of the things I'm working on for this podcast is a real estate niched talk. Would probably be about an hour is my guess, where I'm going to have people on there talking about real estate investing, because it's such an interesting topic to be able to dig in from different perspectives. But Kyle, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Best place to reach me, you can direct my direct cell is 210-777-1759. I take calls, texts, but you can email me as well. Kyle, it's at mymarketboss.com. B as in Bravo.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great job. Want to do the intro for your buddy Jerrod?
For my buddy Jerrod, his cow people. All right, next up on the show is Jerrod Smith, CEO of AN Global San Antonio, a veteran-owned and operated company that helps entrepreneurs sell businesses. Jerrod, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit about your background and why you ended up opening a business brokerage.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess a little bit about me is, like you mentioned, I'm a veteran, so I spent 13 years in the Army. Ended up, my injuries got caught up with me and got medically retired out. So I was kind of lost in the world, after my military time. And so I ended up trying to find something. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. And it's kind of something that I always grew up watching and something that I always wanted to do myself. And so I started looking at different franchises, different options, and that's when I found A&N Global and joined the franchise. I liked the idea of what it offered, and business brokerage is something that I felt like I could still help people and help business owners achieve their goals.
It's a cool profession, by the way. I mean, I that had never even crossed my mind. I don't think I even knew something like that really existed. I mean, if I would have thought about it, I would have figured, okay, yeah, there's people buying and selling businesses and all that. But I love the concept. So, I mean,
that's probably the most, that's what I hear a lot of, is that, I didn't even know you existed, or I didn't even know there was people like you out there. And I think that's the biggest struggle that I've dealt with getting started is, a lot of people just don't know about business brokerage, and what we do and how we can help business owners.
So I think, and that's one of the things that is a barrier to entry in entrepreneurship too, because there's kind of two routes to go about it. You can start something from scratch, hustle your way into it, or you can buy an existing business, but people don't really think about that. So what's the process of going from just I want to buy a business to actually using your services as a business broker?
Yeah, so I mean, there's twofold. When selling a business, we kind of help the business owners, market all that and stuff. When we're talking about a buyer in that sense, we try to make sure that the business is going to meet their needs ultimately, figure out what their ultimate goal and what they're trying to achieve. And then, trying to make sure that it's a viable solution to their needs. We don't want them to purchase something that's not going to be something that they're going to retain their money quickly, or, they're not going to retain their money within a certain time period that they're looking to do. And I think sometimes that's what you get with buying a business is some people that are wanting to buy, they think that they're going to be successful on day one. And that may not necessarily be the case because you still got to get the things removing again and get going. So it's still going to take a couple, years to get it back going for yourself.
Well, how do you match a business to a person? What's that process like?
So the first part is marketing the business, and usually they contact me as a buyer. Now we do get leads from certain websites that will offer buyers to us. And so really, it's just finding what they're ultimately looking for. The best example is I'm working with somebody that's kind of all over the place. They don't really know what they want. And so with our company, we can offer franchise options. I've showed him a couple businesses. He hasn't really, bid on that, but he doesn't really know what he wants, and so I'm trying to show him different franchise options and see if maybe something there catches his eye.
Well, give me an example of a franchise, because I mean that's probably where I would have gone to. It's like I want to buy a system, right? So get that help, that oversight. Yeah, lose money on the royalty, but get help on the system. So give me an example of a couple of franchises that you guys might recommend.
Oh, sorry, that's a lot. So we offer over 500 different franchises.
That's all?
Yeah, that's it. So there is a lot.
Like McDonald's? I mean,
not really McDonald's. They're more of kind of your smaller mom and pop franchises, which I think are a little bit nicer because not only are you helping a smaller franchise, but I think you get better hands on from that franchise as well. And like you talked about that system, I think with McDonald's, the problem with McDonald's is so so big that you may not necessarily get that good hands-on that you may need starting out, especially if this is your first time going out in a business venture.
It seems like McDonald's, you can put one up in the middle of nowhere.
They could be successful anywhere, really.
I heard the startup cost on a McDonald's is like $3 million.
Yeah, crazy. I've heard the same. And there's
a waiting list.
Yeah, there's a lot, and each franchise kind of dictates their rules. I've also heard like Chick-fil-A is another one where you have to be an employee first of Chick-fil-A before they will offer you a franchise.
How long do you have to be an employee?
I believe
2 days.
Yeah, that day of.
I think you have to be it for like a year. Like you have to understand the system first before they will offer a franchise.
And it's not just a system; there's the culture.
Right.
So that's where Chick-fil-A knocks it out of the park, is because they've got a great culture there. People go there, and the expectation is high that you're going to have great service.
Absolutely. And so like some of the franchises we offer. I know one I was just looking at for the real estate was We Buy Ugly Houses.
Yes. Oh yeah,
I know everybody's kind of heard that one. So that's a franchise we offer. Another one I was kind of talking to a couple weeks ago was a gelato company from California. It was a small mom and pop, family run business, franchise. The son and daughter were in the corporate level, dealing with franchising and all of that. So it was really ran by the family, but it was a system of where they made the gelato in shop and then sold it directly from there, which I thought was kind of an interesting concept. And I don't know how big gelato would be down here, but I'm sure in California
I'm not quite sure I know what gelato is.
It's like an ice cream.
I know it's like an ice cream, but
what makes it heavier ice cream that is a lactose intolerant person I won't touch.
It's a softer serve, I think, is what it is. I don't know.
Heavier cream, not that it matters. But what I love about a franchise, though, is there's some people, they love the idea of entrepreneurship, but they don't have a business idea or they don't have a trade that they know how to do. I know several franchise owners here who, they don't have expertise in that specific industry, but what a franchise does is it offers you the training, the systems, the models to be successful in that business. And what's great about entrepreneurship is you don't have to be the best at everything. You have to find smart people who are good at the things that you need to be done, and almost the harder piece is managing that.
I think that's that is the biggest thing is that with an entrepreneur, sometimes a lot of people have it in their head that they should be the owner, operator, do it all, and sometimes that, which is great for them. And there are some franchises that still have that model and, and people are okay with that. But I think, some of the true entrepreneurships, their idea is to be up at the top and grow teams and lead, and develop their teams and understand that there's going to be people that specialize in better areas than you.
So on this topic, since we're talking about franchises, if you're a buyer looking to purchase a franchise, what are some of the things you need to look into for that franchise?
I think, well, first off is knowing, what franchises you're interested in, what areas of sections, that you're interested in doing, whether it be, service, coffee, right, realtor,
you want to like what you're
figure out kind of, narrow that down. And then I think you have to look at, how much you're wanting to invest, also how much the royalty is, and see if that's something that you can, sit with and compare those, because that's going to be to me, everybody has their own driving factors of what moves them. So for me, when I was looking at a franchise, I wanted something that I could be able to grow and continue to grow. And so with my franchise, we have no real territories. So I can go sell a business up in Dallas where my corporate level is, whereas, some of the other business brokerage franchises, they're just stuck in a little territory and they're not allowed to go anywhere else outside that little territory. And some franchises are like that, and and some people are okay with that, but it's going to matter on each question or whatever they feel is important to them. Royalty may be more important to them than territory. They may not want to pay a 5% royalty fee. They may only want to pay a 2% royalty fee. Whatever their driving factor is really going to be their question.
Where I would struggle with franchises is I like to do my own stuff, right? I would want to change this, want to tweak that, and I would get in trouble. So, Kyle, do you have a thought on the We Buy Hug? Were you aware that was a franchise?
I didn't know, but I could see it being a franchise. I imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, Jerrod, I imagine that's a large lead gen company that franchises out who's managing, certain territories, if that's the case, or what do you know?
I didn't look into it too much, to be honest. I remember it coming across. Because I remember doing that. Oh, I remember, I know that place, type thing. So
and they do, they definitely have that sort of retention for people know who that is, and so that's a business that can be replicated in any market. Anywhere in the country, any city, any state, and people are going to have ugly houses that they need to sell, and there's going to be buyers for them. So, I could see that being a pretty easy franchise.
But I think to also go on what you said, Mark, how you like to do your own thing. I think, again, that's another driving factor. And there are some franchises that are very strict on what you can and cannot do, but there are some franchises that aren't strict. So, it just kind of. You gotta see what each franchise brings to the table, and I think that's the biggest benefit that a business broker brings in that aspect is that we can bring multiple different services. Like I have 5 different coffee shops, so I can bring 5 different coffee shops, and you can compare all 5. And really see which one, or which ones you like over the other ones, I know one coffee shop's a golfing, has something to do with golf. You may not like golf, so it's, that's out the window. Another one has to deal with co-working spaces and coffee.
I think I want to start one called Uncoffee, where it's not a coffee place. We don't have coffee here. I don't know what you're talking
bone
about.
Broth.
Bone broth.
That's what my husband said. I was like, that's gross. But I think it highlights the need for, you just don't know what you don't know when it comes to buying a business and franchising. So having that expertise, similar to having a realtor with your home purchase transaction, could you do it yourself? Yes, probably. But are you going to do it at a high level to where you're getting into the best deal possible? Maybe not so much unless you do it day in, day out. So I think that really highlights, there's a lot of options out there.
That's why I think it's important that we talk to you about this, is so people know that they can get help.
And that's what I think is, so absolutely. And like you said, I like to compare myself to a realtor, because we are very similar to the process is almost very similar, if not identical to what real estate agents have to go through and buying and selling houses. And so the biggest benefit that we bring to business owners when selling their business is confidentiality. So a lot of business owners don't want their clients knowing that they're selling a business. They don't want their employees knowing their business. And if you go out and try to do it yourself, well, there goes the confidentiality. We make.
How are you going to find those buyers?
We make them sign NDAs before we give them any information. So we that's a kind of a big deal. And the other thing is that we deal with all the potential buyers. We weed through them. We go through and make sure we find qualified buyers. Where if you're selling it yourself, you're going to have to deal with all those. And I know we've all sold stuff on Facebook. And you have to deal with all.
Why are you looking at me like that? I don't even know.
You're the closest one I can see. But
Facebook.
I mean, we've all tried to sell stuff on Facebook, and trying to deal with people on Facebook of buying and selling of anything on Facebook can be a hassle. So you can imagine dealing with that on selling anything. And so if you're trying to run a business plus trying to sell the business at the same time and deal with buyers and answer 1,000 different questions. That's where we get to come in and be the benefit.
Yeah. Good. Well, if anybody wants to get in contact with you about buying or selling a business, what's a good way for them to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. My cell phone is probably the best way. I always have it on me. It's 737-802-4558. And that'd be the best way.
All right. Well, give Jerrod a call if you want to buy a franchise or a business or sell one.
Perfect. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast or catch video versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. It's going to be it for us. You guys have a great week. We will see you on the next one.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.